Hey everybody, Ronarray here, and as 0.4 progresses, a lot of questions coming up with what to farm, especially after the Abyss farm got nerfed earlier in the patch. So in today's video, I want to showcase what I've been farming myself during last few days and what in my opinion can currently provide a very decent amount of currency. I'm also going to showcase a different variation of that farm for all kind of players, so if your build is not strong enough to go for an expensive version, you can always go for a simpler version, which I'm going to showcase too. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well if you appreciate farming videos and stuff which is connected to how to make more currency. And let's go! So for that strategy, we're going to farm Breach in the maps, and we will also combine it with a slight Abyss to get some cool Abyss loot on top, because we don't really need that much investment in Abyss anymore. So it will be pretty good to just focus on Breach and all values that Breach can provide. Playing the Breach is also pretty fun because there are going to be a lot of monsters around. If you feel like your clear speed is not fast enough, I'm also going to provide a pretty cool solution to improve your farming experience a little later in this video. So, talking about the strategy, at the moment, Catalyst, and especially River Catalyst, is pretty expensive, and on top of it there's also other expensive things dropping from Breach, such as Breach Splinters, which is practically 1-to-1 in terms of Exalted to Breach Splinters. And at the moment, I believe that farming Breach Splinters together with Catalysts, together with even Breach Rings, which are still dropping from Breach, is a pretty good idea. Breach is also providing a lot of monsters, so more rares and more general drops are coming your way, and I think at the moment that's a pretty good mechanic to farm, especially after all changes to the Abyss. So let's talk about combination that we can currently use to maximize our loot from it. First off, let's focus on the Atlas, and when we are talking about the Breach Atlas, we practically have only two options. The easier option is just taking Frantic Invasion, Rising Pyre, so going through the main line, and going to the left, taking Grasping Hand and Waking Nightmare. That way you will just focus on Breach Splinters, and amount of Breach Splinters that you're dropping could be pretty high, and downside, which is a Waking Nightmare, which is increasing the damage you're taking, is not going to be that big of an issue. So I would say that if your build is not too strong, going that way is probably the best idea. And if you don't have 8 points for Breach, I heavily recommend to just drop Waking Nightmare and play 6 points like that. So you will have only Grasping Hands and going up for Rising Pyre. You can still farm it with 6 out of 8 points, so if it's your case, just follow that setup. But if your build is feeling stronger, especially if you're running something like Headhunter, or you just feel like you're strong enough and have 8 points, you can practically just progress through the right and take Zashed Madness. Zashed Madness at the moment is absolutely amazing, and I think it's providing the most amount of bonuses to the monsters. First off, it's giving 50% increased effectiveness to rare Breach monsters in your map. Effectiveness at the moment is giving you monster life, experience granted at quantity of items dropped. So it's pretty important because that node by itself is improving your quantity, which is kinda hard to stack at the moment. And you also will have Catalyst drop rare from rare Breach monsters, will have 10% chance to be a full stack, which is a very nice bonus even if it happens only occasionally. And on the way to it, you will also get like a Crumbling Walls for additional chances for more breaches in your map, or even 10 breaches, which is pretty good. So that variation probably will be harder but more effective, and variation going to the left is going to be easier. Talking about the rest of the Atlas, at the moment, I currently recommend to just focus on taking Waystone modifiers everywhere where you can get them. Taking them to the left, taking them here, improving the rares too, so Rising Danger and Rare Packs is working pretty good for it, and improving things for your precursor tablets is also pretty important, so you will need to just get effect of precursor tablets, you will need to get effect of explicit modifiers and stuff like that. Another interesting question is local knowledge. At the moment, if you're mostly farming swamp and water biomes, I believe that local knowledge is still worth it because it gives basic currency chances. However, if you're running other types of biomes, it's better not to have local knowledge. In that case, you can just drop a point and respec it like that. So, especially if you're running something like desert, it could feel not that good. So, another interesting question is just unstable energies. I believe that unstable energies could be pretty good at the moment, but they can make the maps significantly harder if you'll be unlucky. So if you feel like it, you can drop additional points from based on modifier effects and just take unstable energies, putting the last point right here. But if you care about stability a little more, I probably wouldn't do that. And another interesting part is rarity in here. I honestly prefer to have that rarity up just to improve it in general, but if you have more rarity on your character, you can save those 2 points. I also still have 38 out of 40 Atlas points because I'm still missing one map at the end, just like a unique map which never spawned for me. So when I will get 2 additional points, I will just invest them here for waste on modifier effect if I would keep unstable energy. Now let's talk about tablets, and there we have variety of choices. So at the moment you will need to use maps with like 0 revives available and with 6 mods to use all 3 tablets. If your build is not strong enough, it will be better to just use 2 of them instead. So let me showcase what I'm using. I'm running only basic maps with 6 mods, and mostly I just try to prioritize maps with rare monsters modifier, which should be kinda higher, and a little more item rarity. Generally something basic like that is working just fine for me. Most of the time I'm using Orb of Alchemy and double Exalted Orb to craft those maps. And in terms of tablets, at the moment I'm running double Breach tablet with a pretty basic bonuses. Most of the time its breaches in the map spawn 2 additional rares and increased number of rare monsters. So those 2 mods are the most important part of it. If you can get rarity on top of it, would be pretty good, but like those 2 mods are my current focus. And if I can get that properly, you can also get additional clasp hand, maybe chances to contain an additional breach as well if you feel like that at the moment. Getting chance to contain additional breach at both tablets could be more expensive, but can make your experience better, especially if you're rolling more expensive maps in general. And the last tablet, I'm just using the Abyss one. At the Abyss right now, I'm just getting additional number of additional monsters again, and 1 additional rare monster spawned from Abysses in the map. I think it's stacking pretty good with itself, so that way I always have Abyss every map, and I'm going to get some loot from them, and I'm going to get pretty good breaches. Perfectly, if I have double tablets with 15% chance to contain an additional breach, it's ending up with 30% chance to contain an additional breach, and I have double breaches pretty often. So I think that combination of tablets is probably the best choice at the moment, and at least that's what I've been using so far. And if your build is not strong enough and you can't clear breaches fast, I heavily recommend to drop an Abyss tablet and just use Ray class Besieged. Ray class Besieged is going to give you breaches remain open while there are alive breach monsters inside. So if you can clear fast, if you feel like you're getting slow, you're like actually stuck in the monsters, getting Ray class Besieged could be a very good idea. You at the moment can't run that properly at all, and you can run only 4 modifiers map. You can drop 1 of the breach tablets and just run Ray class Besieged and 1 tablets with additional rares, and perfectly like the chance to get an additional breach, so just those double tablets. I think it should work pretty good if you're clear not that amazing, and you will also be able to resurrect if you're going to die somewhere in the map. Talking more about the tablets, if you would go for something very simple, like just maps has increased percent of rare monsters, together with chance to contain an additional breach, there are a lot of tablets on the market for very cheap. You can get them only for like 3 Exalteds at the moment. But if you want to maximize your setup, you can add increased rarity of items found in your maps. That way, the tablets are going to be significantly more expensive and usually will go for like 30 Exalteds, but it's going to provide more currency as well. So for example, here we have like 20 increased rarity, 30 for increased number of rare monsters, and you can also get like additional monster density. If you're completely sure that you want to perfect tablets that you can get like as high and as good as possible, you need to aim for chance to contain an additional breach, number of rare monsters, and rarity on top. In combination, those tablets will cost significantly more, but they're also going to provide more value. So base your farm on the amount of money that you want to spend on the tablets. Generally, at the moment, I prefer to just go for basic rarity and basic rare monsters. So something like that for 20 Exalted is probably going to pay for itself just fine. If you want to overpay even higher, that's up to you. And if you're on a budget, you will just need to drop rarity and play basic maps with rare monsters, because it's going to work out absolutely fine for you and it's going to be crazy cheap. There is also a pretty important thing to notice is that if you're running very expensive breach tablets like that one, for example, with like rarity and higher number of rare monsters and also a chance to contain an additional breach, such tablets could cost tremendous amount of money. So at the moment, I recommend to run triple breach tablets instead of swapping one last one for Abyss. So in the cheaper option, adding Abyss is a great idea, but if you're aiming for very expensive tablets, I believe that just running breach tablets in that case is probably going to provide you a bigger value, especially since you can stack chances to contain an additional breach, which is going a long way when you're doing all 10 maps all together. But that setup is going to provide you a very decent amount of raw drops and a very decent amount of currency in general, and should be very effective at the moment. And as the last part, I also wanted to give a few tips for people who play in a bear build and want to farm breach. So when you're going into the breach and just using the rampage, you could get stuck in the monsters because there's like a lot of monsters around. So for that case, just use them all and slam immediately to clear all monsters around you. After that, you can use rampage again and try to run further. If you really feel like you're getting overwhelmed by monsters and you just can't kill them fast enough, you can just use Ray class Besieged, it's going to help you out, there's going to be no timer, and you can just clear the whole breach with just slam. Personally, I don't have a lot of issues with the breach myself, but my gear is pretty good at the moment, and if your gear significantly worse, it could be recommended to use slam instead. And out of the expensive items, I would say that Headhunter is probably helping the most with the breach, and second after it is Defiance of Destiny, because it's going to grant you a lot of survivability at the moment. So don't be afraid to use Furious Slam together with Maul. Always have up buffs for Walking Calamity and Lunar Assault, and try to rampage around the enemies instead of running them like that in the face, so just try to circle around stuff. Thank you very much for watching and hope your farm is going to be great. ronarray out.